Hey guys, so I am back with another video continuing the tiny series of coloring this comic, or making this comic. I had to change the dialogue a little. The last panel is now the original dialogue instead of what I had redone, so it's redone. Now I am changing Tony's skin tone. In the old comic, it was a bit more white, more European looking, but I wanted him to be a bit more tanned. It just goes better with his outfit and his hair. It looks more natural. I've also changed, or Billy anyway, his like a pasty white kid, so his skin will stay like that. Right now, what you're seeing is me just coloring all the spots that are supposed to have the same color. And later on, you'll see that I changed the sky to a more saturated blue. And that's because right now the blue I put in the beginning is a little unsaturated. It's got a little bit of gray in it, and it just doesn't look good next to all the saturated colors. But I don't change that till later on. Now I'm just painting in all the grass. This last panel I decided not to color in until the end, and you'll see in a moment why I decided to do that. Just coloring in his hair, you begin to see it like come together, and how the colors start to match. You can see me kind of just try to fix the sky, and I gave up and didn't like it, but I redo it towards the end anyway. Getting colors with something like this, like to make them look good together, not only does it take practice, but it takes trial and error and just general knowledge of color theory. With color theory, you want to, if you look at a color wheel, they're, like the colors that are across from each other are complements to each other. So blue and orange will always look good together. Red and green will always look good together. Yellow and purple will always look good together. And that's kind of what I'm doing here as well. Well, you'll see later on when I put the shadows in. Brown and blue go well together, so I use a blue shadow on a multiplied layer for Tony's skin and hair. For Billy's skin, I use like pinkish color because yellow and red, or yellow and purplish, complement each other. And for the last panel, you'll see that those colors complement each other well too. I realized that I had to change his hair there at the top in the third panel, but in the last video I left it because I thought I could do something with it, but I don't know what I was thinking. It was kind of dumb. Now you can really kind of see that the sky is not as bright of a blue as it should be compared to the other colors. And let me explain this panel real quick. This is inspired by The Watchmen, or Watchmen. It's a pretty great comic. I haven't finished reading it yet, but there's a scene where the whole panel is like red, but it's different saturations, or not saturations, values and variations of red. And I thought it looked excellent, so I wanted to do something similar. The Watchmen is known for its great color theory, as well as its great story, of course, but you can learn a lot about color theory by just looking at other artists. you'd be surprised at how much you pick up from other artists just by looking and analyzing their work. You can see that right now some of the colors don't quite match, and I will go back and fix it later on. But one great thing about this panel is that the colors of Tony are, you can still tell it's Tony. You know, you don't need his plain colors with his brown hair and his tan skin and whatnot to recognize him. You can recognize him by his the color scheme, the design of him overall as well, and that's like a good sorry, I'm saying a lot. There's a lot going on in my head right now. It's like a good indication of good character design. And now, because there is a light from the gun, it's supposed to be a very tense moment at the end of the comic. So the light from the flash of the gun going off has to reflect off of Tony's face. And you can see here I'm trying to get his glasses right, and it just looks bad, so I end up redoing the whole thing. But I use a white that is slightly pink, or pink that's mostly white, to use as the light. Another great thing about this color theory panel is that you can see why reds will always go together if done correctly, and if you look at other artists' work, blues will always go together if done correctly with the right values and saturation levels. And that goes the same for any color. But I've finished up the panel for the most part, color-wise, and I'm going in and filling in the speech bubble. I began doing it in yellow, but I decided to do all the other ones in yellow, and you'll see in a moment that I go back and do this one, the sixth panel, in pink to go ahead and match it color theory wise with the rest of the panel. And I zoom out every now and then. It's good to zoom out on your work and see it from far away, so you can see very quickly, scan the image to see what's wrong with it. And now I realize that my sky is not saturated enough. You can really see the difference between the color I picked and the color that was there originally. And this new saturated sky is just much nicer. It goes better with the colors that are already there. And slowly doing this, looking back out, seeing if it looks right. Slowly comes along. Almost there. You'll notice that I don't really use the fill tool, the bucket tool, very often. I kind of like going through and there it is, I'm coloring it pink. But as I was saying, I like going through and coloring it all by hand. It just feels more natural to me. If it's a big space, then yeah, I'm going to use the bucket tool, but otherwise I don't. Right now I'm just adding the blush and some small details. It gives the characters a bit more life, just to add that little bit of color in their cheeks. I forgot to color in Billy's sweat drops. That's what I was doing there. And now you can see I'm putting in the shadow, as I was talking about before. It's a colored shadow. I move it from pink to a more purple because purple and yellow go better together than pink and yellow. And you'll notice that I don't always, like, even on the red shorts, I still keep it the same purple color on a multiplied layer, because having a consistent color for each character really ties it all together and makes it look more consistent. Here you see what I was talking about at the beginning of the video, where I used a very light blue or saturated blue to shade Tony under the glasses, the jacket, and his skin. I'm just fiddling around with the layers, and then this one looks pretty bad when it first starts out, but once you see it multiplied and then the opacity dropped, you can understand why they're complementary colors. There it is. Looks pretty good. It looks red, but you know, if I put a red there, it wouldn't have been the same. One good thing about a color check or doing things digitally is a color check, where you turn the line art layer off to see if, even without the line art, if the characters are still discernible. It should be pretty obvious that they will always be, but it's a good self-check to make sure everything looks right. Now I'm going through and adding more small details like a gradient for the sky, which I do typically in a lot of my comics that have kind of a plain background. It's a bit more pleasing to the eye, I think. And it makes it look less flat. Like if you look out in real life towards the horizon, you can see that it will either be lighter more towards the horizon or darker more towards the horizon. And that was the kind of effect I was going for here. I'm just going back in and fixing colors. When you see my mouse wobble off to the side like that, I'm using a slider. For some reason it doesn't show up when I record, and I don't know how to fix it. But I don't use it very often, so it's not really a necessary fix. Colors are looking very well together now. Oh, another thing, a gray background is really useful when coloring digitally. Not only is it easier on the eyes than a white background is, but as you color things in, you can see where you've missed a spot, and the gray will show through much easier than a white. But it also makes it, a white background can make colors look washed out when you're just first putting them in, and a gray background will make them look how they're supposed to. I just crop the image. I add a small watermark because you can't trust people, unfortunately. It's a precaution. I'm fluttering around with the layers, making sure everything looks good. You'll notice that the grass lines are now green, and I did that to make it more concise with the rest. And I add a little bang. And there it is. Alright. Thanks for watching. Links to all my social media are in the description below, like always. Bye.